Okay, so I have a message. Yes, I have a message for Ezra Klein and many liberals that are like him. Yes, I saw his debate recently with Ta-Nehisi Coates, like many people did, and I actually didn't know, I'm going to be honest, anything about Ezra Klein going into this debate. He seems like a very well-respectable journalist. He seems like he has a good heart. At least, like, his heart's in the right place. Which is why, if I could get your attention, you know, I, in good faith, would like to criticize some things that I really think liberals need to understand if we want to progress this country forward, and I know you do. Now, this is going to come off as wrong, especially because I come from a very privileged background as well. Especially because I don't know anything about Ezra Klein's background. I don't know anything about his ethnic background. The way this debate came off, my friend Jonathan tells me a lot. He says nothing against white people, but oftentimes the problem is white people don't come from a place of a marginalized position. They come from a place of a privileged position. And where that gets complicated is someone like Ezra Klein, who is very into the politics of it all, right? So I understand how politics works. A lot of people get how it works. But it's one thing to just say, hey, you know, people like Kamala Harris, like, without her, like, Trump is going to win, so we have to push things like Palestine aside so that we can win, you know? But think about that from the perspective of a Palestinian American. You know, being told from the party that is supposed to be on your side that you are nothing but a bargaining piece, that your existence isn't worth fighting for, you know? And Ezra Klein, many times in this debate, really shows that the true heart of the problem with this liberal ideology, that they are more than willing to push marginalized people under the bus in exchange for some fucking bullshit victories that are not real. Because Hassan Piker pointed it out best. You can't beat these people at their own game. Right? So, first of all, right, I wrote some notes for this. One of the things you say, right, Ezra Klein talks about bringing back Joe Manchin. Now that is a wild one. I've never heard anything like that before. That took me off guard. I mean, damn, you were talking about possibly working with, I mean, you started with maybe we need to get some pro-life Democrats in there. And you really went full horn with it then. After a few minutes, you were just like, it only took you a few minutes to put that thought in the air for you to then be like, Joe Manchin, baby, please, we need Joe Manchin back. Listen, Ezra, Joe Manchin is one of the most despicable pieces of shit that was ever in the Democrat Party. Like, this guy's voting record is fucking atrocious. Joe Manchin, do you understand do you know what a fuck you that is to every progressive woman in the Democrat Party? This is the problem with you, is it's like, you think as long as we win the state, then that's a concession you're willing to make. I mean, you're not going to win. That's the funny thing. So Hassan was showing the statistics on his stream about it. And they showed on pro-life in the state that they were talking about, they would lose more Democrats than they would gain Republicans. On that issue of abortion, it's very split lock. It's not this absolute deal breaker. And so it's crazy when you look at that fact. The fact that I bet Ezra Klein did not even look at these statistics before he made these assumptions. He is just that willing and able to throw women under the bus. And this is what we're talking about with these, I'm sorry, but like these fucking liberals. They are these Democrat libs who aren't women, who aren't black people, who aren't marginalized, sitting there on his podcast talking about how women are simply a thing we can throw under the bus if it means winning against fascism. You fuck. That is fascism. This is what, and this is exactly, and I mean respectfully, what Malcolm X was talking about when he said you can't trust these liberals, they're wolves in sheep's clothing. And we know that the wolves are the conservative MAGA Republicans, you know? But these liberals, they say they have your best interests at heart. But if you're a group that's not big enough, like, they tell you straight up, winning an election is more important than fighting for your rights. And people see it. They see you're a party with no backbone. And you know what? Here's the other problem, right? Like, you bring up statistical polling and you talk about the loss. And you're like, well, we looked at these statistics, we looked at all these facts, we looked at all these data records, we went in, we took a look, we're really trying to evaluate the data. And it's like, I understand, because like I said, I think Ezra Klein is the kind of person that does care about America and its future. But it's like, you look at everything like it's fucking politics. Like, bro, have you ever once thought politics is real life? Like, it's not just a fucking data measure. Go up to a homeless person and ask them what would make their material conditions better. One of my best friends, she's homeless in Portland, Oregon. Okay? It's a terrible life. They finally have a place now. I shouldn't say they're homeless anymore. But they're struggling. They're suffering through it. This place, it's not great. But it's better than being on the streets. One of the things they told me was there's no bathrooms. There's no access in a lot of these places to public, like, bathrooms. So it's like you're living on the street. There's nowhere to go to the bathroom. So you end up shitting on the fucking road. And that adds to your mental health issues. Because who the fuck wants to live like that? Who wants to feel like that? You're probably going to want to do drugs. Now, my friend didn't. She didn't. But guess what? Now they had a tooth infection they couldn't take care of. And now they have Bell's palsy. Half their fucking face is paralyzed. And what are the Democrats talking about, dude? Not this person. Couldn't give a fuck less. I'm sure this kind of person does not cross Ezra Klein's mind at all. Ever. He wants to look at the fucking polling data and be like, how are we going to win this election against Trump? How can we convince humans to vote for us? How can we be a human being? It's literally right in front of your fucking face. When you're doing this debate, you talk about Lyndon B. Johnson. You're so quick to sell out women and minorities. You didn't even think once maybe Lyndon B. Johnson was so popular because he supported these progressive policies. Maybe FDR was so popular because he had these progressive policies. It's like he's so ass backwards at looking at this shit. He brings it up again with Obama. He's like, oh, but we did have these pro-life Democrats that helped us get, like, better health coverage. That's probably what got them elected. It's like you literally are looking at this country turning fascist and you're like, oh, we need more fascism in our party to compete with these people. By the way, it's not going to work. It's never going to work. The pro-life bullshit, get that out of your head. Because it creates this massive hypocritical rift, right? Because if I'm voting, if pro-life is my stance and I'm like a hardcore Republican that we're trying to turn this district blue, we're putting pro-life Democrats out there to try to get them. If I'm a pro-lifer, I'm like, okay, well, if saving babies' lives is your priority as a pro-life Democrat, then you're a fucking hypocrite because you work with a party full of baby killers. No, that's not how Tyler Lemesny views it, but that is how that's not how I view it, but that is how I would view it if I'm a fucking conservative Republican I'd be like, you're a fucking hypocrite if you're a Democrat, fucking pro-life candidate, because you have no problem working with fucking baby killers. I mean, it's that same bullshit with fucking JD, and then it's obvious, because then it's like, so you're grifters. Like, you either believe this pro-life shit and the rest of your party is lying about giving a shit about Roe v. Wade. Like, either you're liars or you're just bureaucratic sellouts. You know, like, this isn't a real, like, you clearly are just throwing shit at the wall to see if it sticks. And that's, like, half the problem. Like I said, like, they don't look at that shit from, like, a human level. Like, what if you, hear me out, what if you include minorities and give them better protections? And fight for the working class, fight for unions, fight for Medicare for all. Listen, Ezra Klein, we need a land value tax. We have to end the monopoly of land. We need a land value tax. You know, you look at all these areas like California, right? Droves of private property with nothing built on it. They're waiting for the value to go up. They're sitting there on land and they're not building on the land. Well, there's droves of homeless people and they won't build. They won't build more affordable housing, you know? And the reason is because there's no land value tax. If you listen to what Henry George was kind of right about this shit, you know? But speaking of that, and by the way, with the land value tax, we pay for Medicare for all, we pay for universal basic income, and we could probably pay for people's housing on top of that, some level of public housing. And you know, it's really funny that I said the Democrat Party would be considered the party of like baby killers, because they literally were under Joe Biden. They were quite literally the baby killer party at the time. They were just murking children in Gaza left and right, while Kamala Harris was telling us that they're working on a ceasefire deal, and then it turns out that it's actually bullshit. And it's like, you know, oopsie. I mean, Ta-Nehisi Coates literally brought up how black people have been suffering since reparations and all, and how they stopped doing reparations, and how the state has been so systematically violent against minorities and oppressed people, and how the Democrat Party is failing us. And you're talking about some fucking Buddhism quote. Like, bro, we're talking about real life shit here. We're talking about fucking oppressed people. We're talking about descendants of slaves. We're talking about the American imperialist system turning into a fascist fucking empire. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and this is the thing, it's like Ezra Klein's like, I don't know my role. Well, your role is obviously to help the fucking empire, because you're talking about expanding your tent. This is what I love, by the way. These people always bleed like, these liberals always bleed like fascists. They talk about, I need to expand my tent. We need to expand our tent, but to fascists, but to fucking racists, but to people that hate women. And by the way, Ezra Klein, like, I can't speak for everyone else, but at least for me, I didn't know shit about you before. I respected you a lot more before I saw this. Like, now I am convinced you are a man that will absolutely sell women for a fucking dime if it means that dime didn't go to a fascist. Like, that's crazy. You saw what happened to that woman in Alabama? She was literally fucking murdered in front of everyone's eyes, forced to be an incubator. And your response to that disgusting, horrendous display of human rights violations, your response, Ezra Klein, to that is let's have more pro-life candidates. Let's advocate for people who would adhere to that system. Because that's what you're saying. Whether you like it or not, And here's the funny thing, like, I get it. It's all politics to you because you're not the fucking minority. You're not the woman in this situation. You're okay with selling her right to an abortion because to you, defeating Trump is the fucking important thing. Well, you're losing. You're losing badly. You need to fucking expand your tent to the left. It's time we open up to Marxist-Leninism. It's time we have real discussions about socialism. It's time we stop letting the conservatives talk it into boogeyman bullshit, because it's not true. What about the Battle of Blair Mountain? What about the great history of the socialist revolutions we've had in this country? Malcolm X. It's time we embrace Malcolm X and the Black Panthers. He was right about Palestine. He was right about fucking, the Black Panthers and fucking communal fucking breakfast programs. They were right about state oppression. It's time we have these real talks, because these liberals are sellout bureaucrat fucking simpletons. We see them for what they are, dude. We saw Joe Biden. We saw Kamala Harris. We saw these fucking shit libs. We saw, what's her name? Fucking Hillary Clinton, bro. And her husband, who is a fucking another pedophile. Oh, can't say that. Can't prove it. We all know Bill Clinton was buddy with Jeffrey Epstein. And this is and we're supposed to casually accept that. You know why? Because Donald Trump. It's like, don't you understand this is how Trump wins? Your party has become a degenerative state. I don't care what the other party is. Ezra, your role should be to stop supporting this, and as a person who has relations to these Democrat pundits, tell them that they're failing. Because Zoran Mamdani is fucking winning. And no one gives a shit about you shit-eating libs anymore. No one cares except the old liberals. And there's not enough of them. They're losing. They just got destroyed in an election. We saw what Bernie Sanders was. Bernie Sanders was extremely popular because of his progressive policies. Bernie Sanders not popular because he's a fucking pro-lifer. Like, it's just fucking absolutely insane to me. Like, the lengths that you Democrats will go just to not go and allow the progressives into your tent. That you are willing to sacrifice women's rights if it means possibly taking some seats back from Republicans. God damn. Because we just lost with no backbone. Everyone sees... Oh, and here's the other thing. Your idea... You need to get this fucking idea out of your head. We need to extend our tents to the right. You just fucking did it, you lunatic. What do you think bringing Liz Cheney on was? What do you think it was? You think they brought Liz Cheney for movie night? You know what that did, Ezra Klein? It didn't bring in right-wing voters, I'll tell you that. But it did piss off Democrats more than they already were. They already weren't mad enough about the war in Gaza. Now you gotta say, fuck you even harder. Here's Liz Cheney. Daughter of a fucking evil fucking war criminal. God damn. This party's fucked. I mean, holy shit, dude. And it's only gonna get worse. Because I'm gonna tell you what, dude. These Democrats are going to continue to sell out and sell out and sell out because they don't want you to have a voice in their party. They would rather fucking Republicans win elections than allow a fucking progressive socialist in. And you know why? Because it would dismantle their whole system. Because how are they going to make money? Right? If you take the money out of politics... And the politicians become a dictatorship of the proletariat, then what? Then what, right? Like, oh no, then we actually have to represent the working class. What is What is your goal? This is my big thing with these liberals. Other than winning an election, what is your goal? Because I'll tell you what your goal isn't. It's not to get people free healthcare. It's not to get people free housing. It's not to end homelessness. It's not to give workers the means of production. It's not to end the exploitative system of capitalism. So what the fuck is your goal? And look, if you did listen to this, Ezra Klein, I really want you to think more about what your role is in this society. Because this is fucking politics, dude. This is not a fucking game. This is not a chessboard. You will lose every time when you're supposed to be the progressive party of the working people and you fail to see them as human beings. We cannot have a party that's willing to sell out Palestinians. We can't have a party that's willing to sell out trans people. We cannot have a party that's willing to sell out LGBTQ people. Because if you tell us we have to concede somewhere, we have to concede everywhere. Don't you see that? It's not just fuck you to women in Michigan to put a pro-life candidate. It's a fuck you to the whole country that you allow that filth into your party. So, anyway, guys, I was very upset when I saw this debate between Ezra Klein and Ta-Nehisi, because this is a very casual talking point for a lot of, but this is not, I know this is very much coming at Ezra Klein. I don't know anything about this guy. I want to really clarify that. But this is not, this guy is not a crazy person. Right, this is a very normal take in the Democrat Party, and I'm glad he had this debate, and I'm glad he brought this up, and I'm really hoping that it really opens his fucking eyeballs to what's really happening. Because he himself has clearly fallen for the propaganda. He says, I don't view the far left as a threat. You clearly, you don't see them as an ally, but you're willing to extend your tent to the right-wing fascists. This is what I mean. Like, you're not willing to fucking extend a hand out to the tankies, but you're willing to extend your hand out to a literal fucking fascist who wants to rip away women's abortion rights. I mean, it's fucking unbelievable. This is a conservative party. The people that defend this party are conservatives. Like, they clearly are willing to concede away minorities' rights. It's just very, very sad state of affairs.